The Trump administration is saying that as soon as militarily possible, the Strait of Hormuz should be opened up for commercial traffic. Is it possible?
The short answer, Tony, is yes.
Global trade is hanging by a thread because the United States Navy is playing a high-stakes game of tactical patience in the Strait of Hormuz. Everyone thinks a massive fleet can just steam through, but 12 advanced naval mines have turned this waterway into a graveyard. The Navy is ditching its old ships for experimental drones, and the results are terrifying. Most people realize the threat is there, but they do not see the truth behind why the path stays closed. We are going to reveal why the world's most powerful fleet is hesitating and what really happens when the robots go down.
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
Invisible walls of Hormuz. Naval commanders are currently dealing with a nightmare scenario where GPS signals are being jammed and tankers are reporting interference. This forces crews to navigate manually in an area where one wrong turn leads into a minefield. US intelligence suggests that a dozen of these advanced mines are already sitting on the seabed. The crazy part is that sea mines are, hands down, the most effective way to stop a superior navy. They are low-tech compared to a stealth jet, but they are incredibly hard to find once they are in the water. One of the most overlooked aspects of this crisis is that the Navy recently changed how it handles these threats. For decades, they used the Avenger-class ships, which were built out of wood and fiberglass so they would not set off magnetic mines. But get this, those ships were mostly moved away in 2025. Now the Navy is relying on a new strategy that has many experts worried. It is not just about the mines themselves, but the psychological fear they create. If a single tanker hits a mine, the insurance rates for every other ship in the world will skyrocket. This would effectively stop trade even without a full blockade. This is a key detail because it means Iran does not have to block the whole strait to win. They just have to make it too risky for anyone to try. The United States is preparing for an operation they hope to avoid because reopening a mined waterway is a slow and painful process. It is not like clearing a road of debris. It is more like looking for a needle in a haystack while someone is shooting at you. The Navy is now considering bringing back their last remaining old-school mine hunters from Japan because the new tech might not be ready for a real combat zone. A lot of people are confused about why the US has not just used its carriers to end the threat. The deal is that a carrier is a giant target in a narrow space like Hormuz. You cannot use a sledgehammer to fix a watch. You need precision and patience. Right now, the US Navy is balancing on a knife edge between showing strength and avoiding a trap that could lead to a massive escalation. What most people do not realize is that the Iranian forces have spent decades perfecting this kind of asymmetrical warfare. They know they cannot win a fair fight, so they make sure the fight is as unfair as possible. The pressure is building every day as oil tankers sit idle in the Gulf of Oman. Every hour the strait remains closed, the global economy loses billions of dollars. And that is putting it lightly. The United States is already moving assets into place, but they are not rushing. They are scanning and watching and waiting. But here is the catch. While the Americans plan their next move, the Iranian fast boats are still moving in the shadows. Electronic sensors are picking up strange signals that suggest the trap is already set and waiting. Robotic eyes undersea. Since the traditional mine hunters are mostly gone, the Navy is putting all its chips on a new way of fighting. This involves the Littoral Combat Ship, or LCS. These ships were designed to be fast and modular, but they have had a lot of problems in the past. Now they are being asked to do the most dangerous job in the world. But here is the deal. These ships do not actually go into the minefield themselves. Instead, they stay a safe distance away and act like a mothership for a small army of robots. This is a massive shift in naval history. No longer are sailors standing on a deck looking for floating spheres. Now the work is done by unmanned underwater vehicles, or UUVs. These drones are launched from the back of the ship and head into the dark water to scan the bottom. These drones use high-resolution sonar to create a map of the sea floor that is so detailed it can show a soda can from 50 yards away. They look for anything that does not belong there. It sounds like science fiction, but this is happening right now in the Persian Gulf. When a drone finds a suspicious object, it does not touch it. It sends the data back to the ship, where specialists analyze the shape and signature. If it looks like a Maham 7 mine, they send in the heavy hitters. This is usually a remotely operated vehicle called a mine neutralization system. This robot is controlled by a long cable and carries a small explosive charge. It swims up to the mine and places the charge right next to it. Then it swims away, and the sailors on the ship hit a switch. The resulting explosion takes out the mine without risking a single human life. What many can confirm is that this process is incredibly slow. A single drone can only scan a small area at a time. To clear a safe path through the Strait of Hormuz, which is 30 nautical miles long, the Navy would need to scan every square inch. This could take weeks or even months of constant work. And get this, the entire time the robots are working, they are vulnerable to interference or physical attack. If the enemy sees a drone, they can just drop a net on it or shoot it. It is not that simple though, because the Navy is also using aerial drones to watch the surface. They are looking for the fast boats that lay the mines in the first place. One of the most overlooked aspects of this robotic war is the data processing. The amount of information these drones send back is huge. Sailors have to sift through thousands of images of rocks and trash to find the one thing that can sink a ship. There are still many rumors in the air about how effective these systems really are in a combat zone. Some experts believe that the old woodships were better because they were simpler, but the Navy is committed to this digital future. They believe that by removing the human element, they can stay in the fight longer and take more risks. Hands down, the biggest advantage of the drones is that they do not get tired or scared. The crazy part is that Iran knows about these drones, and they have developed their own ways to trick them. They might put out decoys made of scrap metal that look just like mines on a sonar screen. This forces the US to waste time and explosives on junk while the real mines stay hidden. It is a game of cat and mouse played in total darkness, hundreds of feet below the waves. And while the robots are fighting their silent war, the humans on the surface are getting more restless. Everyone is obsessed with the high-tech gear, but they forget that the environment in the strait is brutal. The water is hot and salty and full of currents that can push a small drone off course. This is not a laboratory, it is a battlefield. The US Navy is currently trying to prove that their investment in unmanned systems was worth it. If they can clear a path without losing a ship, it will change naval warfare forever. But if a robot misses just one mine, the result will be a disaster that no amount of technology can fix. The ocean floor is becoming a crowded place as more machines enter the water to find the truth. Fire from the sky. The best way to clear a minefield is to make sure the mines never reach the water in the first place. This is why the United States Central Command has started an aggressive campaign to take out the source. Over the last few days, American aircraft have been hunting the Iranian fast boats that are responsible for laying these traps. The star of the show has been the A-10 Thunderbolt II, which is also known as the Warthog. This plane was built to destroy tanks, but it turns out it is perfect for hunting small boats in narrow waters. It can fly low and slow, and its massive cannon can rip through a fiberglass hull in seconds. US forces have reportedly destroyed at least 16 of these mine-laying vessels already. Basically, the goal is to create a bubble of safety where the Navy can work without being attacked from the coast. This involves striking storage facilities and ports where the mines are kept. One major target has been Karg Island, which is a key hub for Iranian naval operations. By hitting these sites, the US is trying to break the supply chain of the IRGC. But here is the catch. Iran has hundreds of small boats, and they can be hidden in any fishing village along the coast. It is impossible to find them all. This means the threat of new mines being dropped is always there. It is a constant battle to stay ahead of the enemy. What most people do not realize is that the US is also using helicopters in a very strange way. The MH-53E Sea Dragon is a massive helicopter that tows a giant sled behind it in the water. This sled generates a magnetic and acoustic field that is so strong it tricks the mines into thinking a giant tanker is passing over them. The mines explode harmlessly under the sled, and the helicopter stays safe because it is flying several yards above the water. It is a loud and violent way to clear a path, but it works faster than the underwater drones. The problem is that these helicopters are very big and move slowly, making them easy targets for missiles launched from the Iranian shore. Nobody expected this to happen, but the US has had to deploy more fighter jets just to protect the mine-clearing units. It is a multi-layered operation that requires perfect timing. If the jets do not keep the Iranian Air Force away, the helicopters cannot work. If the helicopters cannot work, the tankers stay stuck. And if the tankers stay stuck, the world economy begins to crumble. There are many who are not seeing the truth here, which is that this is a full-scale combat operation, even if no formal war has been declared. Every time a warthog opens fire, it is a high-stakes gamble. The US is also using its own version of psychological warfare. By showing that they can find and destroy the mine layers, they are trying to convince the IRGC that their strategy is failing. But the Iranians are stubborn, and they have been preparing for this for 40 years. They have modified civilian cargo ships to look like regular trade vessels, while they secretly drop mines off the back. This makes every ship in the area a potential threat. The US Navy has to stop and inspect everything, which slows the whole process down even more. See, it is not just about the fire and the explosions, it is about the surveillance. Drones like the MQ-9 Reaper are circling high above the strait 24 hours a day. They are watching for any movement on the beaches or in the small harbors. The moment a boat looks suspicious, a strike is called in. This is a key detail because it shows the US is not just reacting. They are being proactive. They are trying to win the war before it fully starts. But as the strikes continue, the tension in the region is reaching a breaking point. The United States Navy is facing an invisible enemy that could change the world forever. Will the new robotic strategy be enough to save the global economy? Or is the risk too high to handle? What do you think is the biggest secret the Navy is hiding in the Gulf? Tell us your thoughts below and make sure to like and subscribe for more deep dives into modern warfare.